Hi everyone. Let us discuss about the lesson Gentlemen of Rio and Medio. It is written by Yuan A. Sedillo. This lesson tells us about one gentleman of Rio and Medio. Gentleman means a person who is very soft, polite, who is having a good nature. He will be called as a gentleman. Rio and Medio. It is a place in the New Mexico. Let's see about the author. Yuan A. Sedillo was born in New Mexico. He worked as a lawyer and held public office. He wrote about Mexico and southwestern United States. He is most famous for his short story Gentlemen of Rio and Medio. The lesson is based on the story of his actual legal case. This story is about an old man, Don Anselmo, who believes in old-fashioned Latin American values. The hero of the lesson was Don Anselmo. He was the most respectful old man of the village. He lived up in Rio and Medio, where his people had been for hundreds of years. He tilled his ancestral land. His house was small and wretched, but quaint. The little creek ran through his land. His orchard was gnarled and beautiful. The day of the sale he came into the office. His coat was old, green and faded. His gloves were old and torn, and his fingertips showed through them. And he carried a cane which was the skeleton of worn-out umbrella. The old man bowed to all of them in the room. Then he removed his hat and gloves, slowly and carefully. Chaplin once did it in a picture in a bag. He was the janitor. Then he handed his things to the boy who stood obediently behind the old man's chair. When Don Anselmo came into the storyteller's room, usually he begins the talk with rain, weather, and his family. He was very proud of his large family. Finally, they got down to business. Don Anselmo had agreed to sold his property for $1,200 in cash, but Americans discovered by engineer and surveyor that Don Anselmo had more than 8 acres of land. His land extended across the river and that he owned almost twice as much as he thought. The storyteller convinced Don Anselmo that these Americans are good people and they are willing to pay you for the additional land as well at the same rate per acre, so that instead of $1,200 you will get almost twice. By telling the storyteller offered double amount for double land. The old man hung his head for a moment in thought. Then he said, I do not like to have you speak to me in that manner. I know these Americans are good people, and that is why I have agreed to sell to them. But I do not care to be insulted. I have agreed to sell my house and land for $1,200, and that is the price. The storyteller argued with him, but it was useless. Finally, he signed the deed and took the money, but refused to take more than the amount agreed upon. A month later, Americans had moved into Rio and Medio. They had replastered the old house, pruned the trees, patched the fence, and moved in summer. One day they came back to the office to complain. The children of the village were overrunning their property. They came every day and played under the trees, built little play fences around them, and took blossoms. When they were spoken to, they only laughed and talked back good naturedly in Spanish. To solve the problem, the storyteller sent a messenger to call Don Anselmo. It took a week to arrange the meeting. The storyteller asked him, being the most respected man of the village, why could not he stop the children from doing so? The Americans might enjoy their new home in peace. After hearing Don Anselmo replied that he sold his property to them because they were good people but he did not sell them the trees in that orchard. The storyteller tried to explain that generally, if the land is sold, the possession of the trees in that place is also to buyers. Don Anselmo accepted the matter and told that he is the old man in the village. Everyone in the village were his relatives, nephews, nieces, and grandchildren. He planted a tree on every birth of the child. So the trees are not his. That belongs to the children of Rio and Medio. Legally, the buyers owned the trees, but the old man was so generous and he refused to accept double amount. It took most of the following winter to buy the trees, individually from the descendants of Don Anselmo in the valley of Rio and Medio. Thank you.